Okay, so if you're listening to this is episode 26 plus. We have a little bonus episode for you guys, 26 2.0. Sama and I are going to kind of talk about some more theories about the album and kind of like the timeline of things.
So I was just thinking of our theories and how we're approaching the vibe of this album, the Tortured Poets Department. And to me, if we're correct, it makes so much sense why we couldn't get Rap TV until we heard this new album. I feel like we needed this piece of the story first for our awareness and for us to know that side before we can enjoy and kind of pop off with Reputation.
Okay, so I have like a question based off like your theory. So it's almost like tying the loose ends that maybe like this story was so that we listen to Reputation from a different point of view. Whereas like the first time we listened to it, we were kind of getting to know this relationship and we were excited about it. But then this time listening to it for maybe how Taylor says, like, I want these songs when you leave the Eras tour, like, I want you to think of these songs about your life and not mine kind of deal. Like, I'm thinking when Fearless originally came out in 2009, there was speculations about specific songs and who those were about. Like we had the Joe Jonas songs, that kind of thing. And then when it came out as Fearless TV, Taylor had kind of moved on from that point in her life,
Mhm.
obviously, so many years later. And you got to listen to the songs from a different lens. Is that like kind of what you're thinking for this?
Yeah, and I think you worded it perfectly. I didn't even, put it in that perspective. When you said closing things off, like um, when it comes to this new album, kind of closing that chapter of having those negative feelings of being upset, depressed, mad, in denial, confused, whatever it may be. Because I feel like when in the timeline of her emotions, like she was still going through that and we didn't know. So she kind of needs to give that its space, let it have its moment, and then move on to rep where we can have fun with it. We can not necessarily reminisce about what that relationship used to be. Like you said, it's taking on a new perspective. We can relate to it on our own. We can just have it be like a fun, empowering album. I think it needed to have its moment. Just timeline wise, I think it fits so much better.
So, do you think that Tortured Poets could almost be a parallel of Reputation, if you will? Like when we
Mm.
look at the schematics of the colors and the blacks and the whites, and then you think about it in the timeline where Reputation is the very beginning and now Tortured Poets is the very end. Do you
Mm.
think that the blacks and whites have to do with the aesthetics of like the typewriter and all of that stuff, or do you think that it's the deeper meaning of being the parallel full circle kind of moment, kind like, you get what I'm saying, like the
Mhm.
closing of that, but when you close something you almost end up where you started, if you will.
Yeah, I mean that's coming full circle. You're going back to the beginning, but maybe with a different perspective. And now that you say that, like with the parallels, I definitely see that. That's why I think they can be like not back to back, like in proximity of like release dates, but consecutively. We could get Reputation after this album. Like you said, the color scheme, this one's a little bit more mellowed out, a little bit more neutral. We get a lot of like vibrant dark colors when it comes to Reputation. And now that I'm thinking about it, like looking at the set list for eras, like think of the transition going into Reputation. Like it's not going from something hype to something even hyper, if that's a word, like Reputation. It's kind of going from like a more slow, mellow tune, and then she pops off of Reputation. So maybe we're gonna get that. Like we needed the calm before the storm in this sense.
Right, right. And I'm thinking too, it's giving when you were talking about how the colors for Tortured Poets are almost like a little more subdued and like not
Mm-hmm.
as bright as Reputation. And this just goes into like the deeper meaning of it all again. If it is true what we're saying, the kind of like closing of this chapter or whatever, we have Reputation at the beginning with these bright blacks and whites and grays.
Mm-hmm.
And this is almost a more mature version of these colors, right? So like these colors have maybe been out in the sun a little too long. So they've kind of faded with time. They're just a little more mature. They're a little wiser. They know things that Reputation didn't,
Mm-hmm.
if
Oh,
you
for
will.
sure. Yeah.
Do you think that when we get Reputation TV, and this is kind of trailing off a little bit, how the colors will change for that album? Do you think we might get the vibrant? I feel like in general the Taylor's versions are more like the calmer, neutral tones of the original colors, and maybe that really does have something to do with like the maturity and the, you know, like I've aged, and so has this album kind of thing.
Ooh, I don't know how you can get that with Reputation following something like the Tortured Poets Department. That's like the epitome of, scaled back and giving like
Grown.
complete neutral. Yeah. Um, yeah. Color wise, I don't know. I thinking like if I put myself in her shoes, I also wouldn't be able to do Reputation until an album like the Tortured Poets Department was out, because I feel like you need I mean, I said this before, but not only like telling people like the real story, but like confidence wise, I feel like if Reputation followed the breakup, it would almost be like very
It's like hurtful. It's
like
like it's like opening a fresh wound, honestly, because
yes.
you're reliving the best moments of your relationship.
Yes. And in a way, it's almost like he wins because I'm still singing about loving you and how amazing our relationship is. And I'm not getting my moment. Like I'm still reliving like our story, as opposed to saying, this is about you. This is what you did. This is what you did to me. Then I can reclaim my words and say it in a more confident, like, I don't care type of way. It already happened. People already know my side. So we can
Right.
like have fun and sing about this.
So Reputation is the beginning of their story. Tortured Poets is the end of hers, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the mic drop moment where she
Yes.
says, this is what happened and this is it. We are
Yes.
going to collectively move on now. You'll get what you want with Reputation, but not until you know what happened first and from my mouth.
Yes, exactly. Because there's no better time to have that. Reputation can come whenever, but this is now. We needed it now, for the relevancy of her life. And I just think it's the perfect timeline. So Reputation is coming.
I think it also has to do with her relationship with Travis, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can she, and like I'm sure that her and Travis, have clearly they have a fantastic relationship. They're very comfortable with each other. You can tell that they love each other. You can see it. It's almost palpable.
Mm-hmm.
But how can she almost like have her full relationship with him when she hasn't told us the full story yet either? You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like there may be people that are still out there kind of pining for what used to be. And she's like, no, this is my life now. And I'm going to tell you why so that we can keep going. Like it's almost from Taylor's mouth to Swifty's ears kind of thing. Like,
and who knows, maybe getting Reputation TV at the time that we will, maybe the focus won't be on the relationship with Joe. Maybe it would be the other side of the album, which is literally her reputation. So her lowest moments in having some challenges with other people in the industry, as we know those stories. Maybe that's what she wants people to focus on with this new release of Rap TV. Maybe that's the side of the album that she wants people to focus on. So, being your strongest, even in, the face of challenges and difficulty. And, when you have like a bad relationship with someone, doesn't have to be like romantic, but as she has had in her past, how to deal with that. So maybe that's the side of the album she wants us to see after we go through the Tortured Poets Department.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that, like kind of focusing on like the look what you made me do of it all kind of thing. And then maybe also it is the different perspective, and maybe thinking about her and like Travis when you listen to those songs, like, or thinking about yourself and your own stories and that kind of thing. So it's gonna be a big, like, I think we're gonna have a lot of revelations with Tortured Poets, and I think I'm gonna stick to my guns on the parallel with the Reputation, like the closing of
Yeah,
that chapter and all of that. I think you made a
100.
fantastic point with that. Last question before we wrap up.
And I
What
have one more for you after.
Okay,
It's really
perfect.
small.
What do you think the two in everything means? Taylor holding up the two when she announced the album, Taylor Nation always tweeting the two, the peace symbol. Like, do you think that she'll like release and then announce Reputation right after? Like, do you think it's not Reputation? Do you think it's like, I
Like
don't
two at the
know.
same time?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know, because before I was like, maybe that is an option. Like maybe she just like releases Rep and is like, F this. But this conversation makes so much more sense. And like maturity wise, like, closing out the chapter, moving on, and then we'll get Rep whenever she feels like releasing Rep. But like, then what the heck is the two?
I don't know. I feel like any other Swiftie, I'm gonna have to do a deep dive on what this means because maybe there's some other historical meaning that we just don't know, and she's referring to it. I don't know. I have no explanation because like I can't even say like date wise. Like two would be February
Yeah, we
or
passed
two
that already.
albums. I don't know.
No, I don't know either. I literally have no idea either. And truthfully, like we've been Swifties literally like forever. And I have never been good at the Easter egg game. So like this is like so hard for me to figure out. Okay.
Struggling, okay.
Can we get something easy, Taylor, please?
I know. Just write on your hand or something because I have no idea. I can't even give you a theory.
No, I literally don't know. So okay, what was your question for me?
So my question was going to be thinking about Rep TV. Do you think she's going to keep the snakes? Like, is that still going to be a thing, or you think she's just going to drop it and change the imagery?
Are you thinking like because of the Kim Kardashian of it all, the snakes? Like,
I'm just thinking because it was, I mean, it was a heavy, or a significant, I should say, icon of Reputation. The snakes everywhere.
yeah. No, I
I
think that they're here to stay. I do.
okay. I
Yeah.
had to get your thoughts on that.
Do you think they're here to stay? Or because it's just like Karen is literally the symbol of,
Yeah.
and like the fact that they released the Karen ornament, like you can't have a
Right.
Karen ornament in the same year that you're going to drop Rep TV and then remove the snake, What do you think?
No, I agree with you.
Okay.
Karen has become a character, so I don't think you can drop the snake unless she repurposes a snake somehow and it becomes her pet. Like I don't know.
Well, it's like her pet and the Look What You Made Me Do music video.
Yeah.
I don't think we're dropping the snake. I don't know. It's too much of a symbol of the album. Like I can't. Like if she drops a snake, I think I'll be sad. Not even mad, like just sad.
Yeah, me too. As a Slytherin, I would be totally sad.
Well, I'm not a Slytherin. But as a Reputation girly, yes, devastated.
I agree. Okay, glad I got your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I guess this kind of pretty much wraps up our little bonus episode for you guys. Let us know in the comments if you totally agree with the theory that we have that like Tortured Poets is the closing of the chapter and then moving on, maybe like the more mature, wiser version of Reputation from a different lens, or if you think that we're totally wrong and it's something completely different. We definitely want to hear what you guys have to think, and we're gonna know more next time we come on this pod. So
Yay.
by this time next week, we'll be able to pretty much debunk those theories or not, but it's going to be an exciting time. And I think we have a lot to learn in the next few days.
I'm excited.
I know, I'm excited. I'm scared. I am all of the above. I am C, all of the above.
I am.
I am peace sign. Yes. Maybe by next week we will know what the peace sign is. Also, let us know your theories of what the two means, whether it's a double
Yes.
album, music video. I don't know.
Let us know, please. I need ideas because your girl does not have any.
Literally. And if you're like a Swiftie who is principal level Easter egg decoder, honestly, let us know. Maybe we'll have you come on the pod and you can kind of give us a lesson on how to decode Easter eggs because clearly we're not good at them. So
I love that idea.
being a Swiftie handshake can't decode Easter eggs. But I think with that, we can wrap up. Remember to listen to our last episode, the part 1 of this episode, so you can kind of get our thoughts with Tosh on the album, kind of our theories of what's going to happen. And then follow us on social media at T Swift Sisters Pod on Instagram and TikTok, and T Swift Sisters for more fun with release night, just updates when signed CDs went up. Like, I think I literally checked out and then uploaded right away that signed CDs were there. So just stay tuned, and we have so much more to find out. But thank you so much for listening to this episode of the T Swift Sisters podcast, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.